Hey, folks, welcome to Friendly Orbit, the podcast that draws us together, no matter how far we fly. I'm Ceres, ready to spread some fears and shed some tears, and I'm joined by.
Eternal dishonorable mention, Thea.
And Proteus, here to bring the vibes to the party.
we got you back, Proteus. Welcome back to an
Yay.
episode.
Thank you. I do have a cold, so I am probably going to sound a little strange.
Yeah, well, that's okay. I'll probably just pitch your voice deeper, right?
Bold of you to assume that you usually sound normal. But...
Oh, thank you, Thea. Thank you. I appreciate it. Like I said, I bring the vibes, and the vibes are weird.
Well, this week we're going to be tier listing all of the D&D characters that we've played so far, or at least a few of them.
Yeah, no, it's a selection. It's a selection.
Yeah. With a light side of razzing to figure out which one of us makes the best characters.
It's me. Spoiler, it's me.
Ignition sequence start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff.
All right. So, what's the concept? How does this work? Well, we're gonna figure out what makes a good character. We, like good nerds, have a spreadsheet in front of us. We have a list of characters, and we're gonna rank them.
And we have an objective method.
Yeah, we have an objective method to produce the best possible character ranking.
I am innocent in this endeavor. I was just going to go with vibes.
But I felt like they don't know the characters. So having categories gives us an opportunity to talk about characters and to rate them. So this is how it works. All right. The silence from the peanut gallery. We're going to take a character. We're going to tell you a little bit about them. Then we're going to rate them in 5 criteria. Depth, as in how deep are the character's themes, how much nuance is there, how much can you do with that, how interesting are these themes. Build, how fun is it to play the character at the table, like what like the mechanical build of the character, how good was that. Style, which is, vibes. You guys know what style is, unless you don't. Unless you have no style.
Real
of course you
smooth,
listen to this
real
podcast.
smooth.
Yes. Versatility, which is like, is it a one-trick pony? Is it a one-note character, or can they like show off different sides to themselves? And lastly, table feel, which is less about you playing the character, but more the people around you. What is it like to play with this character at the table? Is this a fun character to DM for? Is this a fun character to be in the party with, to play with this character at the table? Or do they hog the spotlight or somehow ruin the fun for everybody else?
Also, this category I misread as table feet, so I'm trying to figure out what kind of point system that means.
Well, feet tables do have feet. They're just,
Yeah, exactly. Do you have to play this at a table that only has 1 foot? 3 feet?
Exactly.
Does it need 8 feet? Are you going to rock
Yes.
the boat?
We're going to give a 0 to 3 point rating for each of these categories. So like 0 is like really bad, 1 is like mediocre, 2 is good, and 3 is really good. And then we're going to sum those points together so that every character by the end of the ranking will have a point value. And then we're going to sort it in onto our tier list based on its point value.
But what happens, and this is from the vibes guy,
Mm-hmm.
what happens if the sum that we end up with and the vibes that we gave the different tiers don't match up?
The score doesn't lie, so you kind of have to... Statistics win.
Okay.
So what I do know going in, having designed this system, is that like an ideal character will be like a 15, and then a character that is maybe not so ideal would be more closer to a 0. I don't know yet where the tiers are going to shake out, but we have 5 tiers to put characters in total. You'll be able to click in a link in the description to see our tier list, our final tier list. But our tiers are: my baby, would wait out a blizzard with, the McRib is back, pool skeleton meme, and not safe for human consumption. So kind of from good to bad. We have the characters who our hearts are attached to, the characters who we would hang out with, the characters who seasonally are fun, but if it was around all the time, you wouldn't enjoy it. The ones that we've forgotten about, and the ones that we remember for being awful.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah. By the way, Proteus, you might appreciate to know that I had proposed an alternative system of ranking, where we rank every character on the following 3 attributes, which I think are a lot more vibes-based than what you enjoy, which were badass, slut, and loot gremlin. But someone killed that idea.
Slut and lewd gremlin kind of overlapping though.
Wow.
Only for you. That's very telling about you, I guess.
Thea is trying to pander to you so hard, and the fact that you critique him too, you just really have your negative Nelly pants on.
I agree with the vibe-based ranking, but I also understand that we're trying to show off our characters like briefly.
Look, you're a negative nester, and we're going to get started.
Listen, I am.
All right.
The objective people have spoken.
The objective people have spoken.
There is no objective truth. Everything is constructed.
Sounds like a humanities thing to say.
Yes, exactly.
It is.
All right. Let's talk about our first character on the list. I'm going to introduce this one because this is my character. This is Ross. Ross of the House of Greathelm. He's a noble warrior. He's a human fighter / wizard / eventually Eldritch Knight. As he leveled up. This is my first ever character that I ever built. I did not name him. My dad named him for me. His whole deal was that he was a noble, and that he was a wizard, and that he could cast spells and also fight, and that he was cool. And I played this character for 10 years for a very extremely sometimes we had years where we would only play like once in the year, but we played for a very long time. So I've played this character very, very many times in 3.5th edition.
And he's kind of like your childhood character.
Yeah, he's my childhood character. He's my first character. So I've fully opened up myself. This is my baby childhood character. You may now tear him apart.
No, I mean, you have to explain, how young were you when you started playing?
6. I was 6 when I started playing this character. I was very young when I started playing this character.
So this is the apple of your eye, metaphorically.
So the thing is, I know very little about this character overall, so I have a hard time. I don't want to drag your baby through the mud, and honestly, I can't because I don't have enough details.
Well, what I know about Ross is that Ross is kind of a man of many faces. Because he's been around for so long, he had to adapt to like all kinds of situations and all kinds of storylines that you wanted to go through with him.
Yeah, he's definitely a character who's changed a lot over the years. Like his whole deal at first was just he was a human fighter, right? Like the absolute classic. You start playing D&D, what's the first thing you roll up?
Milk toast.
I want to play a knight. I'll play a human fighter with a cool name. I wanted to call him Spikehead, but my dad didn't let me.
As like a little bit of context, as somebody who lives in Germany, calling somebody a Spikehead, no bueno.
Really? Wait, what is that?
Oh, just look up like World War One.
Okay.
Sounds
like a Prussian, like
yeah. It's the Pickelhaube. It's the Pickelhaube.
Yeah.
Precisely. So.
Anyways, I wanted to call him Spikehead. My family didn't let me. I suffered a lot as a child, you must know. So I had to call
being like just super, super bad.
I mean, I don't know if you guys know this, but like, you know, from the American context, a pinhead is like, you know, somebody who's like overly pedantic and stupid. So calling someone a Spikehead is like, but yeah. He had blonde hair. He could fight, but I very quickly dipped into wizard because I thought it'd be cool if I could learn magic. And then I just went like from level 1 to 7. I just kept taking wizard levels and being like, maybe I should come back and take another fighter level. I was like, yeah, but the wizard stuff is cooler.
So
he was a total pyromaniac. I was like, as a kid, I was like, I blow up everything. Fireball, fireball, fireball. And then eventually once I became more of an adult, I turned him into an Eldritch Knight, and I tried to sort of synthesize the two halves of the character.
So what I think is really tough about this is that there's a lot of parallels to you as a person.
Oh my god.
A little pyromaniac, was he?
Okay, wait. So here's my youngest character. Feel free to tear him apart. For you, Proteus, that was not personal enough. You had to say, well, also, this character's a lot like you.
A little bit of context, anybody who's listening. Like, Ceres and I know each other for like, have known each other for like 16 years?
Infinity years?
Yeah, 16 years at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
15, I think, but it doesn't matter.
It's
Like
a couple of months, it'll be 16.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. So when I say this is also a little bit of you as your personality, I feel like I'm qualified to say this.
Yeah, you're qualified to hurt my feelings, for sure. So, from 0 to 3, rate the depth of my personality, I guess. Let's talk about Ross's depth.
Okay, what depth? Are we talking about angst? Are we talking
No, we're talking about like it's like a deep character is a character that has a lot of nuance, a lot of topic to them, a lot of like there's a serious core to them. There's something interesting about them, right? Like a character with a lot of depth is a character who is well defined, that has a lot of things about them that are there to love and to be interested in and to sink your teeth into, sort of, right?
Oh,
So-
you've given me a
This-
bunch of flags to wave and be mushy about, or like to kind of make fun of. Which flags am I waving?
Yeah, well, I think we could just all right. You guys aren't going to say it, but I'm going to say it. Ross has a depth of 0.
Yeah. Okay.
Ross's
So
whole-
I think depth wise, I really can't judge. Build wise, I mean, in Eldritch, like taking one level of fighter and a lot of wizard. I don't know how it worked in 3.5, but in like 5e, it's not such a bad idea because wizards is really powerful, except that they're not very good at like being resilient. And first level fighter means you can wear armor, that you have proficiency in armor. And it's really not a bad start. And if you ever want to take a second level in fighter and skip another wizard level, you get action surge, which is pretty cool.
So I never
And-
knew the meta of 3.5th edition as much as I know of 5th edition, but I think it was worse in 3.5th edition, the dip, than it is in 5th edition
see.
but he was a wizard. It's like, how wrong can you go? It was like,
Yeah,
I
that's
feel
the
like wizard
thing,
is like
that's the other
generally the
thing.
strongest class in every edition.
Yeah, I mean, this is, we're talking about TTRPGs, right? So people with magic are always going to be OP because secretly every little nerd wishes he, she, they were the special one, the chosen one.
I also just think mechanically in D&D, like I think mechanically in D&D, casters are generally stronger. They're more flexible. They can do more stuff. And
Yeah.
I mean, I had a lot of fun with this build, blowing people up. It did take a while for me to find the build. There was a time when like I took a specialty feat so I could wield a dual-headed orc axe. There was a little phase like that. I phased that back out again. there were a few.
This is Ceres' emo phase. I had the double-sided orc axe. I was feeling angsty. Mom, you don't understand. This is not a phase.
Yeah, but I mean, I
Alright,
definitely
okay, let's
wasn't
keep
imitating
moving,
my
let's keep
father's
moving.
orc character. I
Yeah.
definitely wasn't imitating my dad's orc character who had a double-headed flail that he wielded.
Sounds like build is a 2. It's like you can't go wrong with wizard, but you didn't fine tune it right.
Yeah, I think it's a 1 or a 2.
I would like to go back to depth. I think I would put a 1 for depth as well.
You would put a
I
1 for
can't.
depth? What?
I think it's not so super shallow.
Like his like
It's all of your childhood dreams and aspirations.
sure, but like I mean, when I was trying to describe the character to you guys, I realized he didn't have a vibe. Like he didn't have a thing.
Yeah, but that's
I
the
immediately told you
style,
about
right?
his build because I was like,
Right, that's the style.
No,
I
but
mean, I
also
don't know, I think-
personality wise, did he have? Was he
Yeah,
was he
exactly.
a person
He
or
was
was he
like
a
a
bag of hit points?
he was a bag of hit points who was smart
Yeah.
and honorable. You know, I mean, he did have a little bit of personality. We really played up the lawful good angle. That was important in my dad's adventures. Like your alignment mattered a lot. So his lawful good alignment tended to be played up a lot. So I mean, I could see him giving like maybe a 1 for depth, but really, if like
I wasn't advocating for anything beyond a 1.
all right, cool, I'll give him a 1 for depth. Style.
0.
Also 1.
0 style points.
0.
No!
Jesus Christ.
0.
I was going to say 1. I mean, mediocre, but like
He's a
again,
knight. He's a
This-
magic knight. That's cool.
a knight
This
that
is
throws
like-
around
this is-
fireballs is like it's.
Listen, this is like when you come. Sorry, you finish first.
when you
Pete.
come. It's like when you come. I agree.
Yeah. So, all right, 3 out of 3 for style.
No.
Okay, no, say your bit.
Thea was
Give him in 1.
trying to say something. Thea, you go first, then I go. Okay.
I mean, I don't have much to say for style except like I think an Eldritch Knight inherently has a certain level of coolness to them, but I wasn't there to witness it being played. But like, I would probably give it a 1. It doesn't sound like there was so much to it. But you know, Eldritch Knight throwing around fireballs works for me.
Let me explain my 0, right?
Mhm.
Because this gives the vibes. Like I said, vibes guy. Let's give the vibes of like you come back home
Mm-hmm.
and you open up your childhood wardrobe
Mm-hmm.
and there's stuff still there.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at it and go, oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, good.
No, like I'm embarrassed, but like it's like the foundation that I've built upon, and you know I've learned from it, and it was very valuable at the time. But objectively, in broad daylight, would you ever wear these clothes outside the house?
So
No.
here's the thing with Ross is I do think that a magical knight who throws fireballs has inherent coolness to them. And he had like a flaming sword that I found on an adventure, and the flaming sword would like you could only pull it out of the stone if you were good aligned and you had at least 1 level of fighter. And I was like, oh my god, that 1 level fighter dip was never more relevant than now. And I pulled it out, and so he had like a lot of cool magic swords and he was an alchemist too, and he had like a library and stuff like that. So he was like an enlightened magic-y fighter in a way that I personally think is cool and has style. He there was nothing behind it, right? He didn't have like this depth of personality and conviction.
See,
But,
that's
like-
why the topics of like depth and style, like they're not as clear cut as you, Mr. Science, would like to believe.
Yeah, I gave you a vibes category. I gave you a vaguely defined vibes category, and I'm advocating for 2. Come on, guys, give me 2.
On style,
Yeah.
absolutely not.
All right, Thea, be the tiebreaker.
1. I have
Fuck.
spoken. I have spoken. I'm sorry.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
Versatility.
Okay,
That's like
versatility.
max,
I think
max
this is this.
versatility.
I think versatility is what we established kind of this character being, right? He's gone through so
Exactly.
much. You can give him a 2 or a 3.
Sure. Okay. I'll take a 3 for versatility.
Yeah.
I'll take a 3.
Ross is like the Swiss Army knife.
I think it also has to do with his build. Like I think he had a very versatile build actually, because
Yeah.
he could a little bit be a frontliner. He wasn't great at it, but he could a little bit be a frontliner, but he could also stand in the back. He was great for like lots of arcana and knowledge and history checks. He had a lot of utility skills like that would tell you stuff about the
Yeah.
world. He had a cool hawk familiar who could scout around, called Goldwing, and Goldwing was funny. I always liked it when my dad used to voice him. I also had this giant, it's kind of weird, but it was a golden toad that was magic that could do a whole bunch of like alert you to invisible people and catch arrows out of the air. So he had like a lot of random magic and interesting sort of like, so he had a lot of mechanical versatility, but he also changed a lot as a person just because I played him inconsistently. So
Yeah.
he's versatile, I
would
guess.
say maximum versatility again for me, the traction on the style.
Yeah.
But
Okay, and now table feel I think is really hard to evaluate because none of you ever played.
no, hello, we've played with Ross together.
Oh, we did?
The 3 of us have played with Ross,
That's true. We did do a one shot
and
once.
I have played with Ross at the table with your dad DMing.
Yeah. Oh, have you?
Yeah,
All right. Well, then tell me what's
16 years, guys.
what's the table feel?
I like it, but then again, you're also just a very lovely player.
Oh,
So I think this is a character that just gives you the most authentic series because it's so versatile that series can really just do whatever he feels like.
all right.
So I would go table feel is really good.
So like a 3?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thea, what do you think?
I don't really have. I mean, I have one. I have one experience with Ross, and as a dungeon master, I mean that nothing about that one shot left an impression on me, basically. But I don't want to put that. But I don't want to put it on Ross.
Iconic.
I don't want to put it on Ross. You guys
Come
killed
on,
the
the
Pope.
Vespas.
The pa. Hello.
Yeah, you killed the
Hello?
Pope.
We went to fantasy, not Rome, and killed fantasy, not the Pope.
Yeah.
And ran away from the guards who were riding on giant wasps.
It was a good time. It was a good time. It was a good time.
It was a
I'm
good
gonna
time.
give him a table. I'm gonna say Ross can't have a table feel of 3 because for like the trajectory of the time that I played Ross, most of the time you were playing with a child, like a young child, like an 8-year-old. I just can't imagine. So you said 3, Proteus. I'll give him a 2.
let's say
I'm
2.
flattered. Let's move on. Let me. All right. Oh my God, guys, we need to move faster. Holy shit.
Yeah, I was going to say we are so slow. All right.
Okay, but everything's gonna go fast now.
Now that we've described all the categories, we can't help but go faster, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to be slower than this. Okay, so shattering every person who ever said that your first D&D character is a boring human fighter. Here comes Andalar, my first character. A half-drow warlock of the Fae with a great Old One streak. Because of his lineage, Andalar was a reject from basically any society. He was born into slavery and then escaped, and then he was mistreated by the High Elves who adopted him. And after a life of aimless wandering and hedonism, he kind of tried to reconnect with some people in his life and ended up bonding with an Eldritch Tome, which gave him new meaning in unraveling the mystery behind his origin and eventually becoming the herald of a new era. Andalar grew a lot, and eventually, once the campaign was done, renounced his power, his bond, and returned to being a normal person to find his own meaning instead of having one thrust upon him by chance.
How long did you play this character?
I played this character. I don't know. We took a lot of breaks, but like honestly, I think I probably played this character for like 8 months.
A year.
Approximately.
A
year I think is generous, but okay. Andalar, mechanical, he was all about social stuff. He had expertise in several social skills, great charisma.
Fey warlock. He was a Fey warlock, but it was flavored. So this is D&D 5th edition. He was a Fey warlock, but he was flavored as a Great Old One warlock. Yeah. So like he had the abilities of the Fey warlock, but he
the flavor.
Yeah.
But the flavor.
So all social skills, a shapeshifter. His combat spell were all about battlefield control and manipulation. And goo. Lots of goo. Lots of slime.
Every single spell you narrated as goo.
Yeah.
All right. So Andalar depth. I feel like a depth of 2 is appropriate.
Yeah, I was going to go with 2.
Andalar had a lot of backstory, more backstory than any other character in that campaign. He had an interesting growth, like personal character arc and growth by the end, like embracing his powers and then renouncing his powers by the end of the campaign.
Yeah.
But like he's also just a little bit of an edgelord and a little bit like, you know what I mean? He's just not of the depth that I would call 3.
I mean, I don't know if edgelord I would describe him as an edgelord. I think the backstory pretty edgy, but like he was often the voice of reason, and he was always trying to avoid violence. And
yeah, but do you remember the one shot we did where like you tried to create like the you and me one-on-one session we did where you tried to create a criminal syndicate, and like we're like sneaking around and charming people and like trying to give yourself, you had like 4 different edgy characters that you were impersonating.
How dare you call them edgy? One of them was a very lawful law-abiding halfling who was the most respectable citizen.
Yeah, but what was the name for Andalar himself in this crime ring? It was like for the leader, it was like
I mean, I don't know, but I was impersonating a tough half orc guy.
Yeah,
I had to. I had
darkness
to.
or something.
Yeah.
The rotting prophet.
Yeah,
that
there
was
you go.
I was trying to create. Yeah, I was trying to create like an urban legend, basically.
Yes.
That's called panache. That's called showmanship.
Right.
But fine, I'll take the 2.
Has spoken. You get 2 depth.
Okay.
Build.
I would say 2 as well, actually.
I think
Build
a 2
was
fits.
super versatile. He had the tome, a pact of the tome, so he was packed with like cleric. with like good cantrips from all the spell lists.
Yeah, I mean he had like insane persuasion checks,
Yeah.
which was we'll talk about that during table feel, I guess. But he had like really, really good persuasion checks. He had a lot of good social skills. He was kind of weak in combat
Yeah.
at times. He had moments like the old Fey Warlock ability was like you scare somebody for a turn.
Yeah.
And that ability was really not so great. And the higher level Fey Warlock abilities were also honestly not very good. So I would say build wise, he's still a caster, right? He's not like you can do worse build wise, but I don't think this is in the top tier of most interesting and fun builds to play.
No,
Yeah, I mean,
I think the
Andala's-
versatility, like the low tier stuff that I could do at will, like all the cantrips that I had and the skills, that was the meat.
I mean, Andala, I think build wise is not meant to be, front row fighter.
Oh,
Right,
no,
but
no,
so
no.
build
So-
build
and
is
I
how
would-
much fun do you
no,
have
yeah,
playing
let-
the
let
character,
me
not
please-
how strong the
I
character
would
is.
like give me, if you would let me finish. Just I'm saying I really appreciated Andala as a character. I would go for 2 for his build because
Yeah.
he did what he did pretty well.
Yeah.
Which was a lot of social lubrication and the occasional scare tactic. Yeah, he's the goo wizard. He's
Yes.
the goo wizard.
Yeah, all right. Build 2 out of 3 social lubrication. Style.
Also 2.
No,
I mean,
God, all
no.
right. I give you style. Look, I'm biased, but I give you style 0. I hate
What?
the goo vibe. I do not. The
No.
goo vibe was overdone. It was too much goo.
No, boo.
You liked the goo too much. That was
Ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Okay,
I'm
as a goo lover, I feel called out. Okay.
As a goo
is
lock, it's in the name. I'm a great old one warlock. It spells goo.
It was gross. It was gross.
No.
We should share the art that you have of like Andalar with his book, his tome, like his Pact of the Tome, just covered in goo. Like it's in a big blob of green goo, and I'm just like, can you read that after you're done with it? What the fuck?
It's magic, of course.
Ridiculous.
Also-
Okay, I appreciate the meme, but like seriously now, if you don't want to give it 3 out of 3 because for you it was a bit gross, okay, but kind of that was also the point.
I'm counterbalancing you guys. I think
Fine, we can go with 1. Fine.
yes.
No.
Yes.
1?
Yes, 1 is appropriate.
Ridiculous. A charismatic social butterfly 1 because of some goo. Embarrassing.
Yes, because you called you. How much style does the rotting prophet have? You know what I mean? Like social influence,
Well,
yes.
In
but
his
how much
in
style?
his everyday life, he was all nice and shapeshifting all the time to look like the right person in the room every time.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Versatility. I would say
2.
like
Very 2.
I would say the versatility was mostly there in the build and mostly not there in the character. The character mostly was hitting his one thing. Like it's, I'm an outcast, but I have these cool powers, but how much should I embrace them? That was kind of a consistent theme throughout. He never had too many other shades of he never had really deep relationship with this one person where he drops the mask and then we get to see a whole different side of him or something like that. So I would say I'd give him like a...
Well, he revealed himself slowly to the party.
Yeah, but I feel like I would give him basically like a 3 on mechanical versatility and like a 1 on like archetype versatility. And so I would give him a 2 on versatility overall.
I would go 2 for versatility as well.
All right. Table feel. This is the one. This is also on me as a DM, but this is the one where where I'm not memeing, I would score him low. So he had a party secret from the rest of the party. The rest of the party didn't know that he was a warlock for a long time. When he first showed up, he introduced himself under a different name, which was very confusing. And it was difficult at times as a DM to deal with like a 27 persuasion roll. Like sometimes it feels hard to deny somebody, and you should. If there's no chance that they can succeed, you should deny them the persuasion roll. But sometimes, especially early on in my DMing career, it felt hard to deny the persuasion roll. And then they roll a 27, and it's like, yeah, but persuasion isn't mind control. You can't just, And so then if you rolled a 27, and I was like, okay, they decide to take it easy on you. It's like, wait, take it easy on me. I rolled a 27. They should give me the thing that I asked for, you know? They shouldn't just take it easy on me. They should give me what I asked them for.
So the scale was all over the place.
So that was just hard. It was just hard to DM for, right? It was something that I had to learn to deal with and learn to work with. And when that campaign ended and you played a new character for the first time, I was like, one of the things I will not miss from this campaign is like the consistent, like, it's always a 27 on the persuasion on the persuasion check. So I ding you for the secrets and I ding you for the insane persuasion a little bit, but I don't want to ding you too hard because it's also partially my fault. But I have to say, genuinely, this was one of the harder characters to manage in terms of the construction of the table feel of the party and stuff like that for me as the GM.
For me, in like retrospective, I just think it's really, really funny how persuasive somebody was whose main feature is mucus.
Yeah, well, so he hid the goo, right? First he gets First he gets you to agree with him. Then he dumps the goo on you. You know what I mean?
That's seduction for you.
Listen,
that's seduction.
Table feel. I don't know. For me,
I don't know. Let's hear someone who was on the other side of the screen.
Yeah, I enjoyed playing with Andala. I understand what you're saying. I understand the complications. I would be okay with giving him a 2.
Yeah, I think a 2 is good. Like, I don't want to ding him too much for issues that were also partially my fault. And this is what was cool about Andalar is he was tied to the core mystery of the campaign.
Yeah.
And he kept tabs on the core mystery of the campaign. There were a lot of hints that sort of went over everybody's head that Andalar would notice and like construct more and more over time into a cohesive narrative. And the one-on-one session that we played was actually like one of my favorite sessions of all time. So
I mean, this is like something that, like, at the table, you could kind of tell that the story felt very tied to Andala, and Andala was very tied to the story. So for me as a player, that was okay, but I could understand if other players who are not present at the moment would have, like, felt a little bit alienated because, you know, other people would probably also appreciate being the special one. But for me, I would go 2 because I understand what that was all about.
No, I agree. Like, I think also Andalar should have a 2 for table feel. It's like, to me, like a rambunctious puppy. Nothing that's happening that's wrong is being done intentionally, but still it is a rambunctious puppy and sometimes it does things wrong unintentionally. You know what I mean? But like, generally there's a lot to love. It's a puppy.
Am I just okay? I'm very too biased. I've just realized.
Yeah, so I mean, I would give Andalar a 2 for table feel, and I would revisit depth and say probably a 3. Actually, I feel like for depth for Andalar, I mean, he did have the deepest backstory in the campaign, and he did have a character arc.
So I would say also cut me some slack on all of this. It's my first goddamn character.
No, I got no slack. Shut up.
Okay, fine. Okay, you can give me 3 in depth anyways.
You're getting no
I don't
mittens.
Why is there discussion about you getting more points?
I think Andalar should have a depth of 3. What do you think, Proteus?
I don't know, actually.
Can I convince you?
For me, even if it's a first character and there's like the special story, I think I would still go 2. I can understand 3, but like,
all right, fine, we'll do 2. I can't overrule you as an individual. We have to have consensus.
If I can argue why it should be a 3. I think it's the finale kind of puts the cherry on top. Like the finale of the character being that he ended up leaving all that power to seek something meaningful to himself, and not that it was thrust upon him. That's probably the part of the character that I'm the most proud of. Like if that wasn't there, if you just had the backstory and then how he behaved and how he grew through the campaign to become the herald of the change, basically, I can totally see the 2. But I think that finale kind of should nudge it over to 3. But I'm not gonna fight too hard on it. Proteus.
So if you 2 are going 3 and I'm going 2, then it's 3, right? So
yeah, I mean, that is kind of how it works.
Yeah,
you're right.
Democracy.
Like, I feel like on table field, the person who's playing the character can't really chime. Like, they can chime in, but
I'm not chiming in.
But on the other
that.
ones, We all should be able to vote.
And now we have an interesting character because
Yes.
all three of us played Kohai.
Yes.
Yes. So Kohai is my character, which is my
Yes.
most recent character. But Ceres and Thea have both played this character. So this is Kohai. I forget his last name.
Kaminsky. That doesn't
Kaminsky.
matter.
Kaminsky.
Jesus Christ.
That's true. Listen, I would have called him Kandinsky if it had just gone off memory. This is okay. Just context. I don't know how much anybody knows about like the world that Kohai comes from.
No, they know a lot. If they've listened to the
okay,
podcast,
okay.
they know the whole shebang.
Okay, then.
So just tell us about like his lineage, his class, and his vibe,
Well,
and how long you played him for.
this is my human fighter.
Yes.
this is my human fighter.
But also sorcerer.
Yes, listen, I'm the vibes guy. I cannot just go milk toast. But usually I like to go for the more angsty stuff or the more spicy stuff. And Kohai for me was just an experience and like what if I go just chill.
Yeah.
Just a chill guy, you know.
Yeah.
He's a bit of a special one. He has pink sparkles.
Pink sparkle magic.
Exactly. He is very gay.
The Koya was just like a laid back magical swordsman who was very skilled at what he did, but like was not overly pulling the party in any one direction.
Exactly. He was just like a happy-go-lucky guy, and somehow I don't know how much you've talked about this, but like ending up with like a bunch of like people following him. Like, you know?
Yeah. I mean, they should if you go listen to the Edge of Extinction episode, you can hear all about Kohai.
Exactly.
Like, we talk all
exactly.
about
Exactly.
him. How long did you play this character for?
Quite a while, like multiple years.
Multiple years.
Yeah.
All right.
So and I love Kohai dearly, and you both have also played him,
Yes.
and we all agree that he's fantastic.
Yeah. So
Well, let's
depth,
get into it.
Depth,
Okay.
I'm thinking
Depth
1.
0.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, 0, 1. Yeah, but that's the thing. I mean, I love Kohai for so many reasons, but his depth
But
is not one of them.
No,
And we're gonna
that's-
talk about this again in Table View.
But that's his strength.
Yeah, but also like
But
he
also
has
it's a 1.
nothing. Like he wants to go see the ocean, and he's happy-go-lucky. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, this is like, I mean, it's close to 0 for me too. I'm close to giving.
Yeah, I'm happy for him to have a 0
All right, we're gonna give Kohai 0 depth.
because
Yeah.
listen, he's a pretty boy. He's a pretty strong boy who's got a touch of the Feywild
Yeah.
in him. He's
Yeah.
just here for the vibes, head empty, no thoughts,
So let's talk,
only glitter.
let's talk about the mechanics in the build. Kohai
Yeah.
was a
3.
1-level dip sorcerer, 5 levels of, and then just the rest basically fighter until you stop playing him.
And he had the Fey touched feat, which I think was
He had
doing
the
a lot of
he had
heavy
the Fey
lifting.
touch feat to get the Misty Step spell and the Bless spell.
Yeah.
And as a sorcerer, he had the meta magic adept feat, so that he had sorcerer meta magic at a lower level than he should have had it, so to speak. And he could quicken spells.
So this is like
And so he would
And
use
he used
the,
a lot
he would
of
use
Booming
the,
Blade.
Yeah, he used a lot of Booming Blade, and he
Yes.
would quicken the Booming Blade. And also, as your fighter subclass, you were the Psionic Knight.
Exactly.
The Psi Knight fighter subclass.
This is like my most min-maxed character
Because I built him.
yeah, exactly. Because Sirius has a heavy hand in his creation.
The only hand, one might say.
That's not true at all. Okay.
No,
Okay,
that's not
okay.
true. You chose
But-
Psi Knight. I would have gone Eldritch Knight.
Listen,
You chose Psi Knight.
exactly. It's a shared effort,
Yeah.
and it worked out because I had a very clear vision of like the vibes that I wanted.
Yeah.
And you helped me choose whatever class
Yeah.
did that best. And I really like that, and I think in future I'm going to only build characters like that with you.
Well, so yeah, Kohai, I would say, had a 3 out of 3 build. He
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
a really competent martial fighter. He had really explosive damage potential. He had a ton of options open to him at any time. Like, you start combat, and it's like, all right, I can bonus action bless and then attack twice and then do action surge and attack 2 more times. That sounds pretty good. But what I could also do is I could bonus action Misty Step and then I could do my Booming Blade twice in a row, or I could bonus action a Booming Blade, or I could use one of my Psi dice to fly to shoot a rock across the battlefield, or to, deflect an incoming attack with shield or with the Psi dice, or he could smite with the Psi dice.
It's a fantastic build to do a bunch of different things, and I think what also is for build and for versatility, I would rank him really highly, because I really feel like it's a character that a lot of different people can play with a lot of different approaches and get a lot of stuff out of it.
Here's the one thing. The one detractor to the build of Kohai, in my opinion, is the skill suite. Like, out of combat, he was not good at a lot of stuff that wasn't athletics.
But he's a himbo.
But he is a himbo. But he was, like, to me, I would still vote for 3 on the build, because whenever I got to play Kohai, it was the most fun I think I've ever had from a mechanic standpoint playing a character ever.
It's so good.
It was truly a pleasure.
You bring up versatility. I think that's where we're going to drag you a little bit more through the mud. But on build, I agree that the mechanical build, like the combat build, is strong enough to carry the 3 out of 3, even if the character is not very good outside of combat. And hey, it's a martial.
Ceres and I, we should build more characters together. We're meant to create together.
Okay.
Yeah, you should make a lot of babies, a lot of.
Okay.
You should conceive characters together and then
has
bring them to
undertones
life.
I was never expecting. This episode has undertones. All right, shush. Style for Kohai. Oh, one thing actually I want to briefly mention about the build also. The fact that he was a wild magic sorcerer was actually ended up being really interesting and tied to the themes of the campaign. And there were a few times when he got really cool wild magic searches that added a whole nother dimension to the character, which, like, just for that one level dip, you really got a lot out of it. And so I just want to mention the wild magic thing was also really cool.
Yeah. Fantastic character.
Style.
Okay. Style,
I
would say is like 2 or 3 out of 3. This is a very stylish character.
Yeah,
it's a very stylish character. I'm gonna say, I know that it's kind of part of the concept, but I think that sometimes the kind of like sillier and more badass side of Kohai were a little bit like in conflict with one another. Like, especially when things got serious, I felt like that like you kind of had to undermine one of the 2 halves of Kohai.
But
and
I liked it because it's complex.
I'm not arguing for 1, but I think I agree with Siri's assessment that it's a 2 or 3. I'm more leaning on the 2 side. I really like Kohai.
I would like to make a plaidoyer for the 3, like take a stand for number 3.
Sure.
Because I was going all in on style. Like, I sacrificed any sort of character depth for style and flavor. Right? I abandoned any sort of depth to just go, this is pink glitter himbo, sword go boom, we mustache is sexy. Yay.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, he's a very stylish character. He was defined by his looks. The first character art that you drew for him, Thea, was so amazing. And then when you fought in combat, you felt like you were so Nova, but at the same time constantly running out of resources. You felt like you were in Toy Story. Like, you were like, maybe I'm flying, or maybe I'm just falling with style. But whatever it is, you know what I mean? It always came together in a cool way.
Yeah, it worked out so good.
So I agree with Thea. There is a little bit of inconsistency. When there was times when you're like, wow, this guy really devastates people in combat, and then like the whole backstory thing that he couldn't really be scary because whenever he gets emotional, he gets pink and sparkly. I'm like, this guy's decapitating orcs left and right. I don't care how much he sparkles, he's still scary. So there were elements of him that were like inconsistent from that perspective, but I still think overall he was a very stylish character. Like, I don't think you can ding him too much for that.
All right, it's 2 against 1. Versatility.
Here we go.
Yeah.
2 at max.
It's a 1 or a 0. Like,
well,
I think it's not a 0. I'm not saying it's a 0. I mean, a fighter who is like friendly and charming and like a outgoing guy who can also be like a really cool badass, I think there's more than 0 here. But
yeah,
I find
would say two.
myself like, I mean, there were many times where Kohai was kind of sitting out and watching or letting somebody else decide, because as
Yeah.
a character, as we said, there isn't much depth to it, and sadly that correlates.
Yeah, like the
I
mechanical
think one.
versatility is not very high, and the character versatility, like there is this dichotomy of being really good in combat but also being friendly and nice and charming. But like
Yeah.
he wasn't that like you know, he was never questioning, like he was in a very gritty world that could make you question your beliefs. He never questioned his beliefs. He was following people who had dubious motivations. He never questioned their motivations. Kohai was just
Yeah.
always doing his thing. Constancy was part of what made the character the character. So I feel
Yeah.
like versatility, he should get a 1.
I would okay. Listen, I'm already out for it, but this is why I wanted to go to.
Mhm.
Okay. So because we have two sides that Kohai can play in and play in very well as a character. You've already mentioned the combat, which he was just a joy at, and number 2 is just like the social. I mean, I also played him to not be constantly hyper involved with everything, right?
Mhm.
And it was a kind of an idea of his concept was this is like basically a person who knows not much else except being a soldier, being Kazuren, which is like kind of Japanese style flavor. He is a soldier, he is a follower of orders, and he is great at banding together with
I'm just gonna
people.
type in 1.
Okay, fine.
I'm sorry, Ani, but he was not very versatile. Come on.
All right.
I felt he was more
I,
versatile than that, but okay.
So-
Okay.
All right.
as
Table
the dungeon
feel.
master, table feel.
Mhm.
I think that it's a solid 2, and I could be persuaded to be a 3, but I so far prefer the 2 for the reasons
like,
that
I understand why
Kohai
you-
was. Wait, let me talk.
I am.
I think Kohai was really fun to have at the table. It was easy to have Kohai around the table as dungeon master. It was Kohai always tended to always pick up kind of like the debate in terms of narrative, and was always facilitating and making things, smoothing things out with NPCs when some other characters were making things harder.
That's why I put the versatility, like put it higher. But I guess the table feel.
So generally it was very pleasant to have Kohai. Sometimes I wish that Kohai had a little bit more going on for himself, and that's why I'm leaning more towards 2. It was hard to create ways to involve Kohai, like through the backstory or involving you in organizations. Many times I tried to get you to join something, and the answer was always kind of like, no, I prefer not to commit to anything, which I understand is part of the character. But from the point of view of the dungeon master, sometimes it was a little bit frustrating on that side, but nothing major. So again, 2 could be convinced for a 3.
Yeah, I think Kohai was for me a 3 to play with. I didn't have any of the like disconnect also with like the setting, the tone of the setting, and the tone of the character, right? Because the character is very happy go lucky in a very dark setting. I didn't experience any of that. As a person playing with Kohai was always up to be a supportive character, always up for you to converse with, extremely helpful in combat. I mean, I was playing a wizard, so I was very happy to have this frontliner up front there. So like for me, 10 out of 10 would love to play with that kind of character again in a party. Like worked very well in the party, played his role like was necessary.
I would like to also give a stand for the 3 because I understand what you're saying, Thea. However, I felt like anytime you put down a nugget of like Kazuren, like history or like religion, Kohai was all up in that business. And anytime there was people, Kohai was all up in that business.
I think Kohai, I'm actually, after this, I'm going to revisit
Are we
that
letting
briefly.
people argue for their table feel for their own character? I didn't really
Well,
get
they're
to
allowed
do
to argue for it, but their vote doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Basically. So it's just like if his words sway you, that's what matters. But if you think it's still just 2 and you won't budge off of 2, then you and me are at an impasse. We'll figure it out. But I would also want to revisit depth, because I think there's actually a lot of depth about Kohai that I just forgot. But the whole religious aspect that he shared and the subplot he had where he was just shopping for clothing and engaging with Kazuren culture and stuff like that, was actually gives him like mediocre or like mediocre to bad depth, right? Like 0 is like bad and 1 is like mediocre, and I think it is like mediocre depth. There was actually a little something there. It wasn't like there was no concept at all, like a full joke character. So I would argue for table feel 2 or 3, and for depth 1.
Koi was like
I'm
Kazarin
okay with
heart and
raising. I'm
soul.
okay with raising the depth and keeping table feel at 2. How are you feeling?
That sounds like a compromise.
Okay.
Yay.
Oh no!
No.
It's lighthearted. We're razzing each other. It's fun. It's fun and lighthearted. Don't be offended.
Just my heart breaks a little because Koi is so much fun.
This is the thing. Everybody loves their character more than everybody else loves their character.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Listen,
This is
you
Yeah.
can if we get to Dommy Mummy, this is where you can like
Yeah.
Okay,
All right.
fine.
Idarian. Okay, everyone knows about Idarian. We talked about him so much in
all
many
right, let's
episodes.
just briefly say Idarian was a reckless warlock / wizard, a sort of tragic hero character who did the right thing for the wrong reasons and wanted to become a great man of history, leading a revolution. He did, died, made a deal with interdimensional being. He was a human warlock. I played him for 3 or 4 years, and if you want to know more about him, listen to the Edge of Extinction episode. Come on, guys. Depth, 3 out of 3.
Yeah, I would go 3 out of 3.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, Idarian had all sorts of he had his family, he had his politics, he had his relationship to magic. He had very interesting depth, I felt, in that he was extremely groupish. So there was a lot of people he was extremely like selfish towards, but people who he considered part of his orbit of his group, he was very giving and generous towards. So I always had 2 sides to play. I always had the cold and the warm side to play with. So I feel like he was if you can criticize anything about him, it's not the depth.
Yeah, and I think you even had the love interest out towards the end.
He even had a love interest towards the end, which let me show off a different side of him, where he could be like it was
dork.
Professor Ji Shang.
A
You never
dork.
met her as a character. Yeah, and so I could play like, oh, he's this total mastermind when it comes to politics and stuff like that, and then a total dork when it comes to flirting, like really bad when it comes to flirting, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Build wise,
I mean,
it took me a while to figure out.
2.
Yeah.
Max.
I would say 2 also. It took me a while to figure out what the right way was to combine Wizard and Warlock and make it interesting in this campaign. And towards the end, I was very happy with this build, but there were times in between where I was frustrated with this build, where I just couldn't make these two caster classes play nice with each other. He did have a lot of flexibility and versatility. He was a great Swiss Army knife for solving problems, and he was still pretty good in combat. In fact, he was like the dedicated damage dealer for a while there when the party composition changed and Kohai cycled out. But like,
that's true.
it took like he was a 3 at the end, and he was like, there were times when he was a 1 or just a 2. So I think
I think 2 is solid. Yeah.
All right. Style. All right. Now you guys get to roast me.
Yeah, style. I mean, Idarian was like kind of purposefully
Low.
unpleasant.
Low. The vibes were bad.
Yep.
The vibes were bad. It was like thin soup,
Well,
Sometimes you get a little bit of a carrot, like.
Well, I mean,
All right,
I know,
come
I'm
on,
not
he was
going
like
to be.
bitter
No.
soup.
I'm not going to be.
he was bitter
I'm-
soup, not thin
Yeah.
soup.
Yeah, don't be this. Yeah, I think for what you were going for, you did a good job. But what you were going for was not very pleasant to be around. So I'm
Yep.
gonna say 1. Like like the 0 is unwarranted, but
Yeah.
it can't. The ceiling is 1.
Yeah, and I mean, also if we go by like just how strong of a character Idarian was, just only based on style, I feel like
Yeah.
Idarian was carried a lot by your personal experience, and B, by the background that he had, and like the entire politics and stuff like that. So I like there's not like that much
Yeah,
pizzazz, there's
he was
not much.
he wasn't supposed to
wow.
be a very stylish character. He's kind of like, in my mind, a little bit like a Walter Whitey character, where he he's too much up his own butt to actually be cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I just watched an episode in like season 5 where like Walter White goes out and buys himself a fancy car because he's showing off to his own son. And it's like, could you imagine anything lamer to do than to go to a car dealership and show off to your own son with your drug money and buy a cool, hip, young, like, Mustang or something?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's trying so hard to be cool that he can't be.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
felt like Idarian was a little bit similar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes gave a little pathetic vibes.
Yeah. Okay,
And,
versatility.
Versatility. So I think here,
Oof.
I mean, I think that like in concept, Darren should be very versatile, but there were a couple of things
Yeah.
dragging him down. I mean, he was very single-minded as a type of
Mhm.
person,
Yeah.
and I think it was like, with the exception for Professor Jixiang, moments of like when you try to flirt, Darren was always like, kind of like in fifth gear and always focused on like the main goal, whichever that may have been.
Yeah.
I can't see this character
Very
being
driven.
thrown in like at a party where there are no stakes and we're just vibing, and that
Yeah, that
character
was-
having a lot to do.
That was what Kohai was there for in the party.
Exactly, yeah,
Idarian was like
that's-
almost the polar opposite for
Yeah.
Kohai.
I mean, Idarian was always serious, but I would throw in, right, he could play two roles particularly well, which was like
the
ruthless
revolutionary.
strategist and like commander and like good friend who cares about you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I cycled between that a lot. And in terms of mechanical versatility, I felt like he was quite versatile. He could deal damage, he could get you in and out of places, he could charm people, he was very good at skill checks, he was persuasive. So like he was good at combat and non-combat and
Yeah,
at
two.
exploration.
I would say two.
Yeah. I mean, as I
Alright.
said, like theoretically very high, but there were a couple of things dragging him down. So a 2 is
Okay.
also what I had in mind.
Tablefield, I want to go hard for the 3. Like I really want to go for the 3.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
Yeah.
No, I'm
Because
not.
Series,
I'm not.
No, because again, I think Series got to do a lot with Idarian that just plays into Series' own personal strengths.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that really livened up the table and really brought people into the game. Like Idarian's revolutionary streak, his calling to arms, his ideology. Like he is what's so dangerous about like a person with a strong ideology. You know, he's
Right.
very
Proteus?
yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna start interrupt you a little bit. Like, you're bringing me up great points for why depth is a 3 out of 3. And like, I agree
Yeah.
with everything that you're saying.
But like as a player, I felt more inclined to join in. Like I felt like it gave me a reason to be there every week, right? It made me want to explore the story, explore the world, go on a mission. I
Mm.
felt like he really helped light a fire under
Yeah,
people's
no,
butts.
that's a good, yeah, that's a good point. That's a great point.
Like
Okay.
a worry I had with Idarian was that I felt like he could like take up a lot of oxygen in the room. And
He
I
did.
worried that sometimes he took too much focus. But the vibe I'm getting from you is that you're saying that he actually gave you a direction to point in, and
Yeah.
that was helpful, right? To be able
Yeah.
to latch onto another character's direction and be like, okay, this is what we're doing, this is what we're on about.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like Idarian was absolutely integral to be able to tell the story that you wanted, Thea. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But I feel like having such a driving force really allowed you to explore the Eye of Elysium. And he was a mover and a shaker. And the other characters in the party really, really needed that, because if it were just up to like the original set of characters in the party, yeah, just Fleam, Idarian, and Kohai, like Fleam and Kohai are followers
Yeah, I mean,
more than anything, and we needed Idarian.
Yeah, I mean, for me as a dungeon master, I was there's a lot of aspects to it. I think there's also my faults as a DM, especially in the early stages of the campaign. That I was not handling things very well. for me with Adarian, I felt like sometimes series was often kind of having this adversarial relationship towards me, and that stuff got smoothed over a lot when we started talking more and having regular one-on-ones, or even just when Ceres came to me and was like, hey, I did not like how that went, and I was like, oh, okay, do you want to redo that? And then things went better. And for my side,
I agree.
I also felt like
there is a part of there. I agree with that. There's a part of Idarian's dynamic that's always trying to win every situation. When that bleeds over to the player, that can be problematic
That's
for the
true.
table field.
That's
You
true.
know what I mean?
So
Yeah.
it was only possible to survive because of the two of you getting an open line of communication between the two of you, and like
I mean,
Yeah,
there's
and
aspects of
like
playing a character like this that can be problematic.
yeah,
I agree.
absolutely. I
For the table field.
yeah,
Because
and like yeah, and yeah, and I mean the intensity that you brought. I mean, I'm happy that he was so helpful in bringing you into the story, Kohai, and I absolutely agree with you that Ceres did a great job at creating a character that was tailored for the campaign and evolved alongside the campaign to really embrace the themes and story that we were going for. Sometimes though, at the same time, he is kind of like big, like his intensity, the intensity
in
with
the
which
ass?
Adarian faced everything. Sorry?
I was gonna say Idarian's a bit of a pain in the ass.
Well, yeah, I mean, for example, in the beginning, when when there was the big attack by the incursors, Idarian's first thing is we have to fake our deaths. We have to pretend we died here, and then we're gonna disappear into the mountains. And I was like, oh my god, slow down. This is not nearly as bad as it is. And I mean, and then we talked about it, and then it was fine. But I'm just saying, sometimes like Adarian was a bit like I do think that especially in the beginning, Adarian was a bit of a spotlight hog. I'm glad that you didn't feel like that, Proteus. Like I'm glad that you didn't suffer from it, but I did have that impression. But I also things changed a lot when we got new players, like when we added Oshin and Pikiona to the party, who I felt like were a lot more like invested in the story world as well, and they started to have their own goals and drive the story more on their own. Things changed. So I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
I wouldn't go lower than 2. Absolutely, I think Darren was
Yeah.
a wonderful player to have at the party. Generally,
I would go 2 as well.
all right.
okay. I mean, the 3. I could have been convinced for the 3, but it sounds like I convinced
How
you
long
of the
have
2.
we been recording? This is like we are having more of a debate, right?
Yeah, we're about an hour in at this point.
All right.
Good grief.
All right.
Okay.
So
No, we're not.
Round up so far. We have a 9 total for Ross, a 10 total for Andalar, a 10 total for Kohai, and a 10 total for Idarian. So we're like in 10-ville. So that means if we update the tier list for a moment, I think we have Andalar, Kohai, and Idarian in my baby tier. And then I guess Ross we would wait out a blizzard with. I mean, I don't know. 9 still seems like a good score to me, but let's go to
Yeah.
Thea, tell us a little about Skaskas.
Okay, so Skaskas was conceived for a one-shot campaign. Just as a little putting hands on it. Okay, so Skaskas is a lizard folk shepherd druid who is a single mother of 3. She was physically weak and a bad hunter in her tribe, and for it she was eventually left behind by the pack. Instead, Skaskas cultivated her skill in druidcraft, and especially in healing, and embarked on a life of adventure to support her children by selling her services and sending money back home. She still retained her lizard folk emotionless instrumental rationality to her. She was always very practically minded, but she eventually learned to figure out emotions a little bit more. And there was a very nice moment at the end of a one shot where we lost Ceres's the NPC. Where she said something, where she had a little bit of an emotional speech to convince a creature to back down. That worked. Yeah. So she was mainly
from my
a summoner.
perspective, Skaskas, I mean, okay, how long did you play her for?
Yeah, I played her for like, I don't know, 2 months max. She was mainly a summoner, because she was a shepherd druid with some great healing potentials thanks to the shepherd's unicorn spirit ability. And obviously, like as a wild shape, she had all that built-in versatility of being able to turn into an animal. And in combat, she was mainly summoning stuff and holding in the back.
Yeah. My experience with Skaskas was basically you were like, what if I rolled up a lizard folk who goes adventuring, who's a healer, who goes adventuring because people on an adventure generally need healing, and that's how she can make money and send it home to take care of her children.
I like
So
that story.
depth-wise, I mean,
One.
And there's a hard ceiling on how deep a lizard folk can be.
there's
Just
a hard
because-
feeling. There's a hard ceiling to any one-shot character's depth. I feel like the depth
One.
of Skaskas is like 1 or 2.
Yeah,
It's
one.
like it's not bad for what you were working with, but it just like simply can't rival like Andalar or Idarian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna give it.
One.
All right, we'll give it a 1.
Sounds like a 1.
Because like there was like a clear motive, like a clear backstory, but
The thing is also just like there's always like what did you plan, but what actually was experienced, right? Like there's a lot of things you can plan and put in a backstory and be like, oh, this character is dealing with this and dealing with that. But in terms of like what the way we actually experienced her during the game is like she was like, I'm a lizard folk. I don't experience, the world the way that you do. Get over your feelings, and now I'm going to heal you. Build wise, she was a.
Two.
She was really tough. Like she had she was a lot of hit points. I think she might have taken the tough feat or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then
How
she
much
had
fun
a magic.
did you have with her as
I
a
had
build?
fun because I got to cast like druid spells, which are fun in battlefield control. And I was always like I knew what I was doing on my first round was casting my animal spirit, my animal totem. And then the next turns were I was always casting some wild druid spell that was fun. And I really enjoyed after I got the magic item that I kind of gave myself. Which was a stick that turned into a giant constrictor snake. And so I was summoning that, and then I had summon beast as a spell. So I put in this giant constrictor snake on the ground, always made it fun because I wasn't really a combat build myself, but the summoning made it fun. I don't know. I had a good time. I was also a bag of hit points.
I mean, I
so
think
wasn't
she's
really...
like a full caster. You can't do that
Yeah.
much wrong with a full
Yeah.
caster. Like you'll always have options. There's always interesting
and I wasn't
things.
afraid
Like,
of dying a lot. Like she had a lot of hit points. She was really tough.
also, every group needs a healer.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
I
And
feel
I-
like 2.
I felt I would go 2 as well because I felt like she always had something to do, and that's for me it's a solid 2.
All right, style
Pretty low.
is pretty low.
Pretty
The
low.
character art you drew of her was cute. She looks like a kind of a derpy gecko.
Yeah.
But like, come on, she had like no style.
One.
No, I mean,
Yeah, okay.
I
I mean,
like
can
that. I
be
like that
convinced for
she.
one.
All her gear was like handmade from animal parts. So I think that
That
was
was kind
fun.
of a
but
cool
like
part of the lizard folk lineage
Mm.
that you could
Yeah.
like build stuff out of humanoids
yeah,
that
you
you
could
kill.
make a shield.
That's
Yeah, I
kinda
could make.
fun.
Yeah, my shield was a skull. That was nice.
I'll give you like, all right, I can
1.
be convinced for 1 style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, versatility. I mean,
Back
she is a
into
full
the trap.
caster.
2. Yeah.
Mechanically
There we go,
very
2.
versatile. She has a wide
2.
shape.
Yeah.
Mechanically
Yeah.
a 3. Like
I mean, I think she's
mechanical versatility.
mechanically a 3. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess she's mechanically a 3 because she's very flexible. She's a full caster, but like in terms of character, she's kind of like a 0 in terms of versatility. Like she
Yeah.
has 1 mode, and that's that same mode the entire time. It's also a victim of the time, so I'm between 1 and 2 for versatility.
I would go 2.
All right, let's do 2 versatility, and then table feel.
Lots of fun. I like Skaskas.
Oh, you like? Okay, I felt a little bit sometimes like frustrated.
Bit off.
Yeah, well, it's like you're trying to play a character and you're like trying to be like you're trying to have feelings as a character, right? And having the reaction from this character back to you always be like stop having feelings is kind of like I don't really know what to do with that. I don't really know how to play off of that or how to yes and that. And I found that a little difficult. She was a healer, and every group needs a healer, and healers can be hard to come by. So from that perspective, you should get a bit of a bump because you want a healer in your group, in your party generally. So
I mean, Skaskas is not a character that you want to have all the time, right? This is not something that you want to be a constant.
Yeah,
feature.
she's not going.
But
I wouldn't bring Skaskas to a campaign,
I appreciated Skaskas for the fact that she was different and that she made you as a player think about how you interact with other players.
all right, so is it a 1 or 2?
For me, it's a 2.
All right, because all right, then we'll do 2. We'll do 2. We've given every single character a table feel of 2,
Which I think is a travesty for
which
Cool
I think
High.
is not
Cool
accurate.
High is definitely a 3.
I personally feel that.
Yeah, looking back at this, I feel like either Skaskas goes down to 1 or everybody else goes up to 3.
Like, look, I feel like Idarian, Kohai, and Kohai are at minimum a 3 in my opinion compared to Skaskas.
Inflation.
Yes, exactly.
Inflation.
I think Skaskas should get
Okay,
a 1,
let's
and
get
I'm gonna go give Ross a 1 too.
Okay.
Because again, most of the time when you were playing with Ross, he was a child. There was nothing unique to make the table feel good. Like, it wasn't actively bad, but was it actively good?
I had a good time.
And I still want to give Kohai a 3. On table feel.
Cool High gets a 3 on table feel.
No,
Cool High is
you
awesome.
have to convince Thea. You have to convince Thea.
Cool High was so good to have around. Like, who did you pull up time and time again whenever Edge of Extinction needed him? Cool High.
He did stick around for a long time as a. No, come on.
Cool
Kohai
High
had a better table
Cool
feel than
High
Fleam.
had much more table feel than Fleam. And
No,
Cool
I know.
High-
It's just funny because Fleam came up a lot more after you two dropped the table. Because Fleam was in a leadership position while Kohai was off doing his own thing.
Yeah.
So Fleam kept coming back.
Yeah, Fleam was the tool, but Cool High was like, who you gonna call? Cool High.
Yes.
All right. Up next.
This is
Proteus. Tell us about Dami Mommy.
This is the one that you guys get to rip me to shreds for. Okay. This is my version of Ross in the sense that it's not like Ross at all.
Mhm.
Because
it's one of the first characters you ever played.
It's one of the first characters I ever played. It's true. For one shot, we were all supposed to be like evil tieflings doing evil tiefling stuff. But you know me, I like a little bit more flavor.
Mhm.
So it was a tiefling, but it was not a tiefling at all. It was
like, in terms of mechanics, it was a Minotaur.
It was a Minotaur.
It was like a big, bulky. Like, it wasn't like a sneaky, charming tiefling. It was like a big, I'm a demon, I eat people tiefling.
Exactly. Think if the Balrog and the Minotaur from like Greek history had like a horny child. No, like had a child that grew up and then was massively horny. That's Dami Mummy.
Yeah, we don't remember this character's name because it was so long ago.
Yes, but Dami Mummy is an apt description.
Dude, she's just like, imagine like basically muscle mommy covered in fur with a giant axe who eats people.
And the fur I don't have as much of an impression of as the horns. That's very important.
All right, so depth of Dami Mommy is 0.
Yes.
I think we can all agree on that. There's not really much of a concept to Dami. She eats people. Like, what if
she loves eating
like, what
people.
if instead of being a sneaky demon, you were a strong demon, and she's a cannibal,
strutting her stuff, loves eating
build
people.
wise? I don't remember the build. I think it's a 1. I think you were like a barbarian. It was generic.
Exactly. It was a barbarian, and I had a whip.
A barbarian? Oh, with a whip? All right, definitely a 1.
I didn't only have a whip, but you know, for the Dami Mommy vibes, I had to have a whip.
All right, Thea, how are you feeling on the depth and the build?
Let me see. The depth in the build. I don't remember anything. I think that she was wielding a great axe because that's what I drew.
Yeah. She definitely did. She had a great axe and she had a whip for short and long distance, on like short and mid range.
Yeah.
So I would actually, for the build, it's a 1. It's a 1. It's a 1. It's like
it's a 1 because it's functional, because it's hard to make a wrong barbarian, but at the same time, it's
exactly. It's like it does the job for what it was done for. You know, it was there for one shot.
Yeah.
We fought a bunch of what the hell are they called? The kitties?
I don't know. I just remember I shot
kitties.
Oh,
kitties.
Displacer cats.
Kitties. The kitties. That's how you know I'm a cat man. The kitties.
I played like this psychotic sharpshooter build, and I was just like shooting random civilians.
Yes,
I
exactly.
would roll a die, and it was like if it was like 11 or higher, I wouldn't shoot them, and if it was 10 or lower, I
You
would.
just shoot. Yeah, no, that was
That's
a
a
lot
concept
of
out of an RPG horror story, by the way. This guy shows up with a
Yeah.
character, I don't know what he does, then he starts randomly rolling numbers, and then he starts killing NPCs.
Yes. Style for Dami Mommy?
It's all style, right? Like 2 or
It's all
3.
style.
I feel like,
It's
okay,
all
here's the
style.
thing, right? She eats people. I'm not into that. So, like, I feel like 2 out of 3 is my
You
pick
see,
for
Ceres,
some.
you let style. You don't. I think you used style wrong. Like the
She
same way that you were
is-
like Andalar gets a 1 because you don't like goo. I mean, maybe
Yeah.
you don't like that style, but like the style is on point, and I think the Dummy Mummy style was on point too.
Yeah, she is the queen of the BDSM
I think that the
club.
greatest crime that you ever did was I was giving Andalar a 1 in style. I think it's preposterous, and I think the Dummy Mummy should also get a 3.
All
I
right.
think Andler should get a 2. If you don't love it, okay, 2, but 1 is preposterous for Andler.
Well, fine.
Retconning.
But I don't think Ross deserves a 1 for style either. He's a magic knight who throws fireballs. Come on.
I didn't argue for 1.
All
I
right.
argue for one. 'Cause I
Let's
just think
revisit
it's
Ross's
kind of-
style.
It's okay, but
Yeah.
it just gives me embarrassing teenagedom.
So what do you think his style is? Like, genuinely rate it. Like, from 0 to 3.
Like,
I've never seen an
0.
art style. I've never seen art. As an Eldritch Knight, he doesn't get to throw around fireballs until level like 11 or something, to be fair.
No, because it's 3.5th edition. This
Okay.
guy was throwing around fireballs at 5th
Yeah.
level.
I mean, a knight that throws around fireballs is pretty cool to me. Just like, I don't know how much more
Come on,
there
give
was
it
to
2. He can have 2 style.
'cause
Tell me
the
one
night
other
will
thing-
be the
tell me
night
one
that
more
I
cool
will
thing.
fall for you.
Tell me one
Alright.
more cool thing about Ross's style.
It's just
He had a flaming sword. He had a flaming
Alright.
lawful good sword and a hawk
Alright.
who you would
Alright.
talk to and was very kind to.
okay,
Yeah,
Goldwing.
alright.
I love, but
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Versatility.
We gave-
Dummy Mommy gets a 0, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dami Mommy has 1 note to play. She
Yeah.
plays it well, but that's it.
Yeah.
Table feel, 2?
it's a
1?
meh. It's
like
meh.
it's not bad. It's not like overly negative. I mean, it's kind of like there's not a lot to bounce off. I think I'd give it a 1 actually.
Yeah.
It's like there's not a lot to bounce off of, and like her main conversation topic is how she likes to eat people. It's just rough.
Well,
Yeah, I
also-
remember trying to have
Rough
one
to socialize
conversation.
with.
I remember trying to have one conversation with Dummy Mommy outside of the brothel. With my character, and then I remember, you saying something about eating people. Then I was it was a joke about the double entendre of eating people. Then I was like, all right, I'm going inside.
Yeah. All right. Table feel 1. Our first character with a score of 5, Dami Mommy. Don't worry, I've got something even better for you.
All right, tell us about Trollssassins series. What the fuck is
Alrighty,
this?
guys. I brought the best for last. Trollssassin is an awesome character who I built by going through the 3.5th edition monster manual. Trollssassin is a half troll, half dragon assassin. His deal is that trolls, the main way to take them down is fire, and if you're half red dragon, you're immune to fire. And so his whole narrative concept is like, what if you couldn't take down this troll though, and he assassinated you? And I played him never, not even once, but I did pitch him to my dad and to my brother. So, Trollssassin, you guys, he's super
All right,
giant
so-
but sneaky.
So I'm just gonna say it. I think like 2 in build, and probably 0 in everything else.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Though the vibes I love the vibes. They're like, I would give him at least a 1 for style because it's just really funny.
I think you're
All right.
insane, but we can give him a 1. Right.
He's-
You know,
you can play him as
I
a
was
funny comedic character,
Yeah.
like he's so giant, but he's trying to be sneaky, but he can't be. But to be honest, guys, when I made this character, I was playing him 100% straight. I was like, what if this would be a really cool, like, I was like, maybe he's better as a villain than a hero. I'm not sure about that. Trollssassin, I was like, you can't beat him.
Trollssassin and Dummy Mommy needs to get together for like
We need to do a Trollssassin Dami Mommy one shot for sure. Yes.
Dummy Mommy can heat him all day long. He doesn't care.
Yeah, oh, gross, gross, gross. Alrighty.
Would
So
he
Trollssass-
would he keep reforming outside, or would he like eternally be stuck in the limbo of her stomach where he keeps
No, it's
growing?
it's like the biggest part of the troll that's left over regenerates.
Okay.
It's like Wolverine rules.
All right.
It's like Deadpool rules.
Well, yeah,
Well,
they have the
actually-
same healing factor. So
Yeah. Okay.
all right. Let's talk. Tell us a little bit about Zariel, Proteus.
Okay. So there's a bit of a stereotype about D&D and choosing elves to play.
Mm-hmm.
And I also wanted to try playing an elf.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't just want to play any elf.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to play an elf whose biggest goal it is to become the queen of hell.
Mm-hmm.
And that's Zariel.
She's got aspiration.
She's got ambition.
Yes.
She is a witch.
Yeah, but what was her class?
She was a wizard.
Yeah, she was a wizard with a little bit of sorcerer
A
thrown in
witch.
at the end.
A witch.
Sure, but like mechanically,
Yes,
for all the
mechanically,
people at home with the
a
D&D 5th
wizard-
edition rulebook, she was a wizard, sorcerer,
A
multi-class.
wizard, sorcerer, multi-class. Yes, exactly. Who did love a fireball.
Did love a fireball.
And what was the other one? The missile.
Scorching Ray.
Scorching ray? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Loved
how long
the
did you
Scorching
play
Ray.
her for?
Quite a while. I would also say like 1 to 2 years.
Well, but in the one-shot campaign.
Yeah, but we kept at it. So like,
Yeah, I feel like
and,
we
like,
played this character
kept
like
bringing Zariel
for
back.
about 20 sessions or so.
Yeah, Zariel did lose an arm.
Did lose an arm, yeah. I'm not sure, still not sure I DM'd that correctly, but I was just running the adventure as it was written for me.
And now has a gold prosthesis.
Prosthetic.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, she's cool. She's got a cool like color vibe. Like her color vibe is like red and gold.
I also
and the
have a cool
the
salamander.
prosthetic only accentuates that, honestly.
Exactly. And she is just pure evil.
Yeah. Evil, ambitious, but not like a bad team player. Like
No,
worked well with the
exactly,
team.
exactly. And she tried very hard for a while to get with another elf
In the party, yeah.
in the party. Did not work out.
Which would not have been acceptable at all tables, but was at ours. Alright, so depth. Depth for Zariel, I feel like depth and versatility are the character's like weaker points.
Well, I mean,
Like-
she had to leave all of like her elven home behind because she burned down the library.
Yeah, but like she has
And
like
she's, like, got the
motivations kind of the way
angst of-
like she has like Dark Lord motivations, right? And it says like, oh, she wants to be the most powerful in the
Yeah,
world.
she's-
Why? Because she wants to rule everything.
She's got chosen energy, but chosen evil energy.
Yeah, so like she's not like it's not like super. There's not like a lot of interesting topics where
I am
like,
going to be her.
you know.
Capital H, capital
Like,
E,
I think
capital R.
I think she has like the same depth that Ross has, right?
I take offense to that.
Well, then maybe
No.
Ross should have less depth. But she feels to me like she.
No,
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
can
I
go
agree.
for a
I agree.
one, but-
I agree with Ceres. I would go towards Van Eyck. I think this is a character that is built on like cool style and vibes.
Yeah.
Fine,
and
fine. Then we give high points in style and vibes. The
build is
was
a wizard. It's a wield sorcerer. It's a
okay.
good
No, the
combo.
build was great.
No,
What
the
are you
coolest-
talking
I
about?
mean, it's hard to miss when you're a wizard who casts fireball, right?
Yeah, I mean, you were a pyromaniac. Like it's a classic type of build.
Yeah.
You had an iconic. You
Okay.
had a lot of like spells. Like your iconic thing was fire, and
Yeah.
all of your character abilities reflected that. You had
Exactly.
all iconic fire spells.
all was fire.
You had the
It was all
elemental
fire.
adept feat. You had like you were 100% committed to the thing, and because it was a wizard, it was strong enough to carry the theme. Like it wasn't weak in the party,
Okay,
and you're still flexible as a wizard. Like I feel like the build is a 3 out of 3. It's a great
okay,
idea.
yeah.
Cinematic.
Okay,
it
okay,
works.
okay, yes.
Also, you did that
But-
cool thing where you cast Dragon Breath on your familiar, and then your familiar
Oh,
went
oh,
around.
Oh
yeah.
my fucking god, yeah, Zon.
That
I
was
had
awesome.
a familiar
Really cool.
called Zon.
Yeah.
In Zariel and Zon, come on,
Yeah.
nah, build.
Okay,
Three.
okay. Also, the problem is maybe the lingering gender dysphoria.
Well, I mean, the fact that your first character was a shapeshifter who could take on a bunch of different genders, and then your second character was an extremely hairy, muscular woman. We see a sort of trajectory going through your characters that Zariel doesn't fit.
The
So I see.
trans mask.
The
TTRPG.
elf high femme is not.
yeah, is not the vibe you enjoy playing anymore. Let's just say.
Yeah, only if I feel comfortable in myself, and at that point in time, I was not.
Like, it's actually crazy if I think
know.
about it. Like, you started with like gender fluid shapeshifter character, then you played Dami Mommy for one evening, but it was funny. Then you played Zariel, then you played Kohai. So that's like your whole transition right there. That's your whole transition like scale right there.
It's true. It's
And
true.
Zariel's
It's true.
the only non-gender fucky character that you played with. So I see.
Yeah,
All right, style. Style is
High-
like, come
high
on, 3
style.
out of 3, right?
high style.
Like red,
Zariel
gold,
is
and black are awesome colors that go together.
style.
Fire is stylish. That was like her thing.
It was mainly red and gold. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
A little
This
bit
is
of
yeah,
black.
this is a stylish character,
Evil.
absolutely.
All right, 3 out of 3. Versatility.
Not very versatile.
Not very
No.
versatile.
Not very versatile.
Kind of, she wants to take over the world, and that's the mode she's in all the time.
Yeah.
She does have like that wizard flexibility, so I don't want to give her a 0, right? But she
I
was
mean-
also mostly only picking damage spells because I wasn't like making the build with you yet, I don't think. So it was like mostly damage spells, and that was it.
Yeah.
So versatility 1, is that good with the group?
I'm
Yeah.
fine with 1.
All right. Table feel.
I don't know. You guys have to tell me. Sometimes I felt like I was a little annoying.
Yeah, as a DM, you could be a little annoying, but you were fun to play with. Like, it was good to have you in the party. Like, I was like, it was good to be able to have like this build in the party.
I don't remember. I
mechanically
think
to
it's when
rely.
you lost the arm, but it was a moment where you were kind of sabotaging the party by being really stubborn.
Yes,
And I think it's
that's
when
true.
you left. Yeah, and that was like, why are you ruining this for us? Nobody else is. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
so
it
we
went
had to-
against
so
my
to
own
explain-
principles. It was like a thing where you had to be.
Yeah, but she was the
silent.
kind of character who sometimes,
Yeah.
could be a problem then in that sense.
Yeah,
like
you would
it's-
have to talk it out with any player who
Hello?
plays a character like this.
Exactly, right? So basically the context for the listeners, we were like in this monastery dedicated to silence. So the whole idea is you had to be quiet the entire time that you were in there. And she kind of got in trouble for making some noise, and then like got into like exceedingly louder and louder arguments that escalated to violence, and then like tried to like beat up like the monks in the monastery, to which then like all the monks in the monastery respond, like calling out the like silent alarm, trying to take care of her. And in the end, the party still wanted something from the monastery, which is to get to sleep here in the very frozen Arctic North and not have to sleep outside. And so then she lost her arm in penance for that.
Yeah.
That was a situation where your character could not bend to the
No.
situation, right? And so sometimes easygoing or characters, like characters that aren't, it's kind of like the Idarian thing.
Yeah.
Characters that aren't as intense can be better for the table feel.
Yeah.
I feel like her table feel is like 1 or 2. It's like honestly not awful, but it was like not perfect sometimes.
I'm okay with going for 2. I would also like to.
Well, you don't get to vote on anyways, because it's table feel. It's up to the enemy.
I mean, 1 or 2. I'm okay with giving it a 2. I don't have any any.
I think we
apart
should
from
do it
that,
a 1. This keeps that. If we do it a 1, it keeps Zariel out of the Kohai Idarian bracket, and I think
Sure.
Zariel was not as good as Kohai.
Yeah.
no, okay.
All right, blatantly biased grading aside, hey,
Sorry, I did it accidentally.
let's move on to Volume 7. Our last character, Thea, take us home. Tell us a little something
Alright.
about Volume 7.
Volume 7, mechanically a Warforged Order of the Scribes Wizard. Volume 7 is a sentient evil tome. On
Mhm.
the path to redemption after freeing itself from the shackles of the evil wizard that created them. In order to perform spell and interact better with their environment, Volume 7 controls a humanoid porcelain body with a very elegant kind of style and like a half face is like a regular porcelain mask. The other one is completely black. I have a nice art for it. Anyways, I'm really proud of that art. And wears like a black and gold gown. Volume 7 started pretty callous the first time I joined the party and pretty selfish. Like they hoarded some evil tomes and said and didn't tell anything about it to the others. But eventually grew a moral center and became more adept at being part of a team. As a wizard
Yeah.
of the Scribes, Volume 7 was entirely the idea was that the Order of the Scribes get a sentient book, and my idea is, what if the sentient book is the character, and the body is just the puppet? So
Yes.
Volume 7 had the entire wizard spell at their disposal mechanically, of course, plus the ability to change the spell damage for being an Order of the Scribes, and so many rituals. Plus a special focus that let them like do some divination stuff, reroll some stuff, add or subtract some d4s to damage to some d20 rolls. So not super damage focused, but of course I did pick the good stuff. I still had it.
Yeah. All right. So for depth for Volume 7, I mean, I feel like it's like kind of on par with the other one-shot characters. I think it's kind of a 1, you know? It's like
Yeah.
there's something here, but it's a one-shot campaign. There was never really the time to fully expand on it.
Yeah.
If that's like, if you guys are okay with it, I would put Volume 7 at a 1.
Yeah, it's hard to argue for more than that. I mean, there was something, but it wasn't much.
Yeah. All right. I mean, build wise, I thought it was interesting. Like we played an origin session for Volume 7 together, Thea and me, where like we kind of created this familiar that was like a bundle of sentient mushroom spores that could like animate certain objects. And I don't know, the whole idea that you're technically a book is very interesting because you're like technically flexible, but like if the book leaves the body and leaves the puppet body and gets like dunked in water, then it like dies. And so like all of that part of the like we had a moment in the origin one shot for Volume 7 where like where they're just like a book and they're just like shoving themselves around, right? And they fell out of this wizard's tower into a pool of water.
Oh my god.
And it was like not good, you know? And so I don't know. Like in general, it was also just like it was a scribes wizard. It's not a bad build, right? Like just like scribes wizard all the way down is not a bad build, and Warforged is not a bad lineage. But like the special little homebrew stuff that we added to Volume 7 always endeared them to me, like made them more interesting.
Volume 7. I thought it was such a fun character. Maybe if I jump already to table feel I really, really enjoyed playing alongside.
Well,
Volume
let's
7.
finish build first. Build.
But, yeah, the build I would give it a 2.
I mean, it's difficult for like wizards. Okay, a 2? Okay.
I was gonna give it a 3.
Yeah, I was also going to give it a 3. I mean, like
I thought it was a strong wizard
like,
build with fun utility. Like nothing wrong with that.
By the way, I always thought it was a little bit like in hindsight, you let me pick myself up with my mage hand.
Yeah.
And I always thought in hindsight I could have just flown away. You gave me concentration-less and limited flight.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what the issue there was.
I didn't think about it. I mean, there wasn't. I just didn't think about it because I started doing the mage hand movement after the moment where I fell into the water, and I didn't put 2 and 2 together that I could just use it to fly away. Because instead, to fly away, I was using the catapult spell. I will just, I just like, I cannoned myself
really
against the wall and then passed out for 2 years or something, or for 20 years.
Yeah. You killed yourself and then basically slowly came back to life. Yeah, I really love that one shot because I ended it with, all right, here's a magical like workshop where people build automatons. You have like 30 seconds to draw yourself, and because you know Thea is drawing artist. Like you have 30 seconds to draw yourself an automaton, and then you get to have that and fly out of here in that. And that was a really cool, fun like. And of course, Thea drew a giant bug.
Yeah, no, shout out to the Drawtectives.
Yeah, that's kind of like Drawtectives.
From like YouTube channel Drawfee, Drawtectives. That's the vibe.
Similar to that.
It's fun.
Style-wise, I feel like Volume 7 is a very stylish character.
Yeah, I always enjoyed the design of Volume 7.
Style is strong.
Like, the style is strong, the concept is cool, right? I mean, the concept is a little bit daunting as a DM. We'll get to that with Table Feel, right? But, like, from, like, a style perspective, like, it's a cool idea. It's a cool idea.
Yeah, it's got a strong personality.
Yeah. I still can't believe Idarian got a 1 in style. He's a cool concept.
I think we need to bump Idarian up in style.
All right. You heard it here first. Idarian gets a 2 in style.
Yeah.
It's not great, but it's not bad. All right. Versatility.
It wasn't that versatile
for Volume 7.
Experience.
So the thing with role playing with Volume 7 was it was kind of a little bit just a lot of fish out of water. And it's like, I get that you don't eat things and that you don't sleep and that you've been alive forever / alive for 7 years. You know, like you've been alive in some ways for a very long time, in some ways for a very short time.
Yeah.
But it can Volume 7 could be hard to relate to from like an RP standpoint.
Absolutely, yeah.
And kind of mostly play the same note. However, mechanical flexibility was very good and was useful to have in a party.
And yeah, and I think in terms of versatility, I think Volume 7 was still like sociable and very open to work with the party. I mean, he was a little bit odd, and they were not really like a human being, but they played along with the party. They helped in strategizing. They were, I don't know, they were always there. I feel like there's a difference between the versatility of Volume 7 and the versatility of Skaskas in terms of social interaction.
Yeah.
Mechanically, I mean, Volume 7 is a wizard with like a boosted ritual casting compared to your regular wizard. Like every single spell I knew, whether I prepared it or not, I could ritual cast.
That was good.
And that was
okay. But here's the thing: does Volume 7 have the same versatility as like Idarian or Undalar?
No.
Like,
I mean,
and they both have
not
tunes.
not socially, but I would probably is more versatile than Andalar mechanically.
I think our versatility scores are fucked up. How is Ross a 3?
I think all of this is fucked up because you are kind of going off by vibes, but you've created a bunch of different categories that you're trying to somehow scientifically put stuff in.
All right, I'm gonna give Volume 7 a 2 for.
And there is no science for this, baby. It's okay. It's all.
But how is Volume 7 more versatile than Zariel?
Yeah.
Like Volume 7 is a 1, and if that is the case, then Skaskas is a 1.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the table makes
Ross
sense
is a
where
2.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
so I think we just need
I can see bumping up both Andalar and Idarian to 3s. I mean, the thing with Andalar with versatility is Andalar was literally a shapeshifter who reforged his identity and went from being like a rotting prophet to a suave swindler to a criminal to an academic. Like whatever Andalar needed to be, he could be. And
but now I feel like Kohai is not accurately represented because Kohai is objectively, there is no such thing as objectivity, but in my opinion,
listen who has come back on the objectivity train.
Best baby.
So like here's the thing, I think we should set Ross's versatility at a 2, put Andalar at a 3, put Idarian at a 3, put Skaskas and Zariel in Volume 7. I think they all deserve kind of 2.
What about Kohai? Is Kohai as versatile as...
But he's not mechanically versatile. Like, the issue with Kohai is he's, he's just a fighter, mostly.
Skaskas, Zariel, and Volume 7 are all full casters who can do really cool stuff. Like, wizards are really versatile, and Skaskas is a druid, has wild shape.
But I do think Kohai still deserves the 3 for table feel.
Yes.
Fine. Agreed.
He was better to play with than a lot of these other characters.
He was the best. He's the best boy.
All right, Volume 7, table feel.
Roast me.
It was annoying to GM for Volume 7 at times, because there are a lot of challenges that being a book invalidates. And it's just like, it was just like an extra thing you just always had to track and keep in mind. It was just like you always had to remember that one of these characters can become tiny and float through any opening, and can fly at will.
True.
And that was annoying at times, and it felt sometimes stifling to just be like, here's an interesting experience. Well, I don't relate to this experience because I'm a book person.
Okay,
and it's like
we can do one, and then we have it on par with Zariel.
I think that
feels right.
I would. I mean, okay. So for on the being able to fly at will, that's something that you allowed me to do. I like being able to carry myself with, and I didn't do it for most of the time because it only happened.
I know, but that's here's the thing. It's a question I had to answer as a GM. Maybe I answered it wrong, but the fact that I had to answer it detracts from the table feel. You know what I mean? If you were playing a half-elf
and Volume
wizard,
7 have the exact same spread.
Yeah. Oh, do they?
Exact same.
Well, that's interesting. I think it kind of tracks.
Yeah.
To be honest,
I think it's accurate.
I think Volume 7 and Zariel, they kind of do deserve the exact same spread.
Yeah.
All right.
But we have to shift things around because Kohai is clearly in the baby category.
With that, obviously Kohai is my baby. All right. With that, we come to our final ranking. Let's just go through it again because we changed around some stuff. We gave Ross an 8, Andalar a 12, Kohai an 11, Idarian a 12, Skaskas a 7, Damimami a 5, Trollssassin a 3, Zariel a 10, and Volume 7 a 10. So I think Zariel in Volume 7, yes, exactly. All right, we're making some adjustments in our table to work out our final thing.
I think this is fine. I think Troll Assassin deserves to have his own category.
Yeah,
and...
I kind of prefer it like this.
Yeah.
Because I think like Skaskas is so. All right, so our final grading is from 15 to 11 is the My Baby category. We have all of our favorite characters in here: Andalar, Idarian, and Kohai. Then we would wait out a Blizzard with. We have Zariel in Volume 7. That kind of makes sense. Like they're fun, but you wouldn't want them to be around all the time. But you could hang out with them for a long time before it gets annoying. The McRib is back. We have Ross and Skaskas here. I feel like this makes a lot of sense. Ross is a character who, for me, mostly lives on nostalgia at this point. You know, he was an average character. He's an okay character for the first character you ever made, but like, he's not a character I want to go out of my way to play. And Skaskas's whole like vibe is fun for a while, but not forever. So I feel like they definitely are. The McRib is back. Pool skeleton meme. Damimami, a character whose name we can't even remember, probably makes sense as kind of a forgotten character. That's our sort of. And then not safe for human consumption is Trollssassin. I think Trollssassin deserves.
Yeah, not safe for human
worse.
consumption. Quite literally, Damimami would try, but Damimami is also not human. So.
Alright.
Exactly. So
Before,
My Baby is the 15
yeah.
to 11s. The Blizzard is 10 to 9s. McRib is back is 8 to 6. Pool skeleton meme 5 to 4, and not safe for human consumption is 3 and lower.
Extremely arbitrary.
Crazy
margins.
spread, by the way. Like we have
Vibes.
take such a big leap to justify putting Andalar, Idarian, and Kohai in My Baby. Like if we did this a little bit more evenly, no one would be in My Baby.
Well, I think it's extremely hard to get, especially from us, because we were harsh critics today, to get like 3s in every category. You know what I mean?
Plus,
Like,
Yeah.
can you think of a character who
objectively-
stands out for their depth, build, style, versatility, and table feel? Like all of it.
Andalar,
You know
but
what
you
I mean?
refuse to see the light.
Kohai.
Andalar.
Kohai. Fight me.
Andalar,
Idarian.
Fight.
It's Idarian.
Fight.
Fuck it. I have
All right,
15.
guys.
I gave myself a 15.
But I have Ross has 15 in every single category, which means he's got
Guys, put it.
Ross has 628 points.
Put it back. Put it back.
All right.
Restrain
Alright.
yourself. This is like a little bit of an overview who and how we are as players.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting. We have like some joke characters, we have some serious characters, but
We've got strong vibes for all of my characters.
yes, and we have
because-
strong depth for all of my characters, except for Ross and Trollssassin.
Just a 1 out of 3.
Yeah, but who's counting? All right,
We are, objectively.
you guys know this list isn't objective, but
No.
it's fun, and I think we got
Yeah.
to talk about what we like and what makes a character good to us. And if we didn't, and if this wasn't fun to listen to, then we're sorry, audience. Do you guys have anything you want to plug?
A light into the socket because it's dark now because we're talking for so long.
I want to plug playing games with your friends
Oh yeah, that's a good plug. But
and
I
letting them roast your characters.
don't know if anybody needs to be reminded of that. It's always good to do.
Thea, you got a plug for us?
Do I have a plug? Not really. Oh no, I started watching Severance. Probably if you're into TV shows, you might have already heard about it. But it's a great,
It's good.
it's a great show. It's kind of a dystopia corporate office show that with the idea that once that this company has figured out how to sever your memory, so Severance. When you're inside the building, and so you're kind of two different people inside the building, because when you're inside the building you don't have any other memories except for the ones from when you're at work, and when you're outside you don't remember what you do. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Does anybody ever leave the office building?
Yeah, they do. But like
Yeah.
your
But they don't
personality,
know who they are.
your office building personality doesn't ever leave. You know what I mean?
Why
Like,
would you leave
just
the office?
Like you just walk out and then
go
you
work,
wake
to
up
go home
walking
and-
back in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay,
To
maybe.
go home and rest.
Okay,
and so
this is me outing myself as a workaholic.
Yeah, but why would you leave work though?
Exactly.
Alrighty.
If you cannot remember home, why would you leave?
Well, yes, I watched a little bit of Severance too. I thought it was a really great show. I don't have Apple TV, so I didn't keep watching it, but it's good. It's good. I agree.
Yeah.
Alrighty. That'll just about do it for our 19th episode. If you want more, you can find us on youtube.com/@afriendlyorbit, as well as Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if you happen to have any Astral Echoes you want to share with us, you can email us at afriendlyorbit@gmail.com. All one word.
Yeah. Email us why goo is cool and Ceres sucks. Anyway, Ceres and Proteus, I'll talk to you later. And to all of our fellow Voyagers, we will catch you out there amongst the stars.
Ignition sequence start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.